Hello everyone, today I'll be looking at the exact tools we Netly use to map out accounts, find the right people, push everything into marketing campaigns, ads, or outreach. So if your sales team is chasing the wrong companies or the wrong people inside of those companies, this session will help you to first identify which accounts or companies to target, but also how to source those companies, build your list of target accounts and the people, the contacts in those companies that you can target with marketing campaigns, outreach, ads, and so on. So a company's marketing, ABM, is a B2B growth strategy where you treat individual high-value companies or very tightly related companies, so a cluster of accounts, almost as their own markets. So instead of following the approach that was made popular maybe through inbound marketing and content marketing, which still plays an important role in ABM, of course, but instead of focusing on generating the highest amount of leads possible, ABM is more focused. It's more about focusing your marketing, sales, and customer success on a very narrowly defined list of very good fit accounts. Those accounts that are the most profitable, the most likely to convert, renew, and become a long-term customer for your business. So some principles when it comes to ABM, account-based marketing. Like I just mentioned, it is a quantity over volume approach. You might be targeting 50 or 100 really good fit companies instead of chasing 500 or 1,000 less qualified companies. It's really focused on aligning customer success, sales, and marketing on the same accounts. So marketing will be doing content, advertising, launching campaigns, but the focus is much narrower than you might be used to. And it's about not working in silos, but working from a shared target market. So that goes from attracting through marketing, attracting and converting leads from the right types of accounts, to sales having a really narrow focus on which accounts to focus on, so they can spend more time personalizing and following up on the accounts that matter, and also customer success, who are focused on retaining and getting renewals from the most profitable companies, because we know usually there are maybe 20% of your customer base makes up a lot of the revenue. So it's really important to keep those good fit customers long term. Then personalization. Account-based marketing is focused on true personalization. So we're going beyond first name and company name in the outreach emails, for example. When we're talking about personalization in account-based marketing or using account-based marketing, we're doing the same activities or tactics as you used to. So blog posts, case studies, LinkedIn ads, Google ads, email outreach, YouTube, whatever channel your customers are using. You're still using all of the same tactics that you're used to, but you have a more targeted lens. So again, you're doing maybe, let's say, a webinar campaign, but instead of targeting the whole market, you might be targeting 50 or 100 companies in total for that campaign. Instead of going broad, you're going really narrow. So you're kind of instead of doing a shotgun approach, you're doing a more of a sniper approach, you can say. And then stakeholder targeting is really crucial in account-based marketing because, as we all know, in a complex sale like in maritime tech, where there's a CEO, a CFO, maybe a CTO, there are end users, there can be many people who are making decisions or influencing the decisions when it comes to a complex B2B sale. So account-based marketing is focused on not only the target list of accounts, but also the list of contacts within those companies. So we need to identify the whole buying committee, all the people who are either making the decisions, which might be the CEO or CFO, but we have different buying roles in account-based marketing. So decision makers, champions who might be the one promoting your solution internally, economic buyer, end users, and so on. So we need to influence all of them using account-based marketing. So why is account-based marketing such a good strategy for maritime tech companies? Usually, maritime tech companies will have a high contract value, so large deal sizes where every account is worth significant amounts of revenue. So it can be in the tens of thousands up in the multi-millions. That also means you have really long sales cycles, complex deals that take months and require a lot of engagement with the end customer. And also, like I just mentioned, you're juggling multiple stakeholders. So sales need to involve and need to have a good overview of the different decision makers and people they need to influence across the different departments in the customer's company. Then custom or complex solutions. So you're selling products or services that require a lot of tailoring, or you're doing custom pitches or implementations. And that also means that you will often need to do a lot of education in your target market, because you might be solving a problem in a new way, in a new innovative way, through technology, through maybe some type of software or hardware or services, or a combination of services and products. And if you're solving the problem in a new way, then you will need to educate the market on why your solution is a better approach. So a lot of customer education through kind of the content marketing, inbound marketing activities we're all used to, webinars, articles, organic social ads, and so on, are still really crucial. But again, it's more targeted, more narrow in what topics and the targeting when it comes to ABM. And then you have a small, very niche market. So some of you who are watching or listening, you might only have a few hundred companies in your target market, but those companies can be quite big. So it can be companies with thousands of employees in multiple countries, multiple offices around the world. So those companies are, if you can sell your solution to them, that will be a huge deal for you. So ABM is perfect for these type of companies who are in small or niche markets with a large TAM, so a total addressable market. So that's kind of the strategic high-level overview of ABM. So what are the practical use cases for ABM? Well, if you do the things I'm going to talk about in this session, there's a lot that you can do to make especially your marketing strategy more efficient. Because if you have a list of accounts, one thing you can do is to do really targeted advertising. So if you have a list of companies and contacts, let's say they are ship owners, or it's shipping yards or something like that, and they have a presence on LinkedIn, you can upload list of accounts, companies to LinkedIn and do very narrow, very targeted advertising only to those companies and only to maybe specific titles and functions within those companies. Then buyer intent. So again, if you have defined which markets, which segments you want to focus on, you can use solutions like HubSpot's Breeze, where you can see which companies are visiting your website. And this is really important in a long sales cycle because you have companies who are doing a lot of research. The buying process is long, and you will probably want to get in touch with those companies and kind of catch that early. And you want to get in contact with those companies early in their buying process before any competitors are starting talking to them. You can do a lot of customization and personalization with your website. So of course you can make industry pages and these things, but you can also go a step further, making dedicated personalized landing pages only for specific companies. That's very tailored in its messaging. So that can be a webinar, content download. It can be some type of messaging that's very personalized to one specific company or cluster of accounts, and that will give you way higher conversions and engagement than like a broad generic campaign. You can also build out really good sales enablement content matched to the different stakeholder roles. So in ABM, like I mentioned, you have different roles, different decision makers or economic buyers, champions, and so on, and they have different informational needs. So you might need to build out content that kind of answer their informational needs, and that can be a blog post, a case study, a webinar, but it can also be tools such as a calculator. It can be downloadable specs. So if you do account-based marketing, you will have a really good overview of which what information buyers need to kind of progress towards a purchase. And then when it comes to reporting, I think one interesting thing you can do with a lot of modern tools like CRMs and ad platforms is to get very specific on which accounts are engaging with your marketing. Because one problem in marketing is that you do an activity and you don't know exactly if it's working or not. But if you're using, for example, LinkedIn ads, or you're using a tool or a platform like HubSpot, when it comes to LinkedIn, you can see which companies are engaging with your ads. So both companies, but also the function and the title. So are we getting our message across to the right buyers? So I think that's a good KPI in itself. Not just clicks and impressions, but are we getting clicks and impressions from the right type of companies and buyers? But also, like in HubSpot, which is the platform we recommend, is to see which accounts are engaging on our website, for example. So which accounts are contributing to the most amount of page views, for example, in CRM. And then another very practical use case is just less waste in general, less waste on ad budget that doesn't really work, less resource intensive when it comes to not spreading your time to using your time on prospects that's not relevant. So ABM is just inherently less wasteful than many other strategies you tried before. Okay, so how do we do it? So if you're kind of tired of going after really not qualified leads, most companies waste a lot of time on the wrong accounts, and you might have to get more narrow than you're comfortable with, and really narrow down and kind of build out the list of target accounts that you want to focus on. So here is how you can do it in a very systematic way, so you can help your sales and marketing teams to kind of stop guessing when it comes to defining who your target market is. So the first thing you would do to build a list is to look at your existing customer base. Because I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've been in business for a while and you have existing customers, and you have some notion of which type of companies are good customers, which type of companies are less good customers. So you would just export your your customer base from whatever CRM you're using, and then sort them by revenue, profit margin, maybe retention. And of course, you also kind of just look at the firmographic. So the domain and the LinkedIn company page URL, which country they're from, and maybe other criteria you want to segment companies on. And then you just note down, as you can see in the segment column here, just note down kind of what kind of industry segment is this company kind of belong, what segment do they belong to, what market segment do they belong to. And then you just first group all your customers into market segments and kind of cluster those accounts in those segments. Because if you're using HubSpot or Salesforce, there might be an industry field that's maybe too high level. So like, let's say civil engineering or maritime. And those can be good, but I think you should go more narrow and kind of make your own naming for the market segments, and then try to segment like a big industry into many smaller market segments. So a market segment could be, marine and offshore, shipping companies in the EU, shipyards, and so on. So now you probably have a few, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 customers, or maybe even less, but you should be able to filter and organize all your customers into like a spreadsheet like this, and see which market segments you're targeting. And then you would do like a ranking exercise where you're going to score each segments based on a number of standard criteria and non-standard criteria. So this could be competition. Like, is it difficult to win in this industry? Is it a good market size? Are there enough companies in this market to justify going after it? Profitability in general, will you say that deals in this segment is profitable? Like, are you getting strong margins when delivering a product or service to them? And then lifetime value. When it comes to getting a deal, are they staying with you? Do they renew? Do they expand? Do they grow over time? Is there a growth potential? So is the market growing, or is it shrinking? Buying power, which is, do companies have, in general, do they have the budget to and the willingness to invest in a solution like yours? And can you access the decision makers in that market? Do you have past case studies or experience in that target market? So can you write case studies, publish on their website, and build trust that way? And when it comes to advocacy, so are companies willing to contribute to testimonials, to write case studies with you, to refer you? Because in some industries, let's say in financial industries, for example, many companies don't want to contribute to a case study because of it can be they don't want to spread information that they're maybe having some kind of issue. So in some, my point is, in some industries, they don't want to share information in a case study publicly. And then you can also do non-standard criteria. So this will be information that's not obvious or not publicly available in a database like Ocean or Clay or ZoomInfo or any of those databases. And this is usually information that is based on your experience with working with a lot of different companies. You know, there's some criteria that, when the segment has more than 50 ships, it's usually a better deal, a better customer for us. Or maybe they're using a specific tech stack, or they're trying to follow some kind of regulatory thing that they need to adhere to, and so on. So this is kind of based on your experience that you cannot find in the database. So doing this ranking, you will get a clear picture on what are the first and second segment that maybe you should focus more on, because a few of the segments are more promising than others. And the reason why you should pick one or two is because if you're going to do an account-based marketing strategy, it can be resource intensive when it comes to creating content, doing ads, doing outreach, creating webinars, creating the campaigns you need to create to target that market segment. And because each market segment might resonate with different messaging and there's different reasons for why they buy, you need to have usually like a separate strategy or separate content plan and targeting plan for each segment to be really successful. So covering too many segments at a time is too resource intensive if you don't have a huge marketing budget, that is. But I would just take the most promising segments first, and then take those, market segment 3, 4, or 5. And of course, they're not necessarily like a bad segment. They're just maybe not the most important, but just take the most promising segments for now, and then focus on them in the beginning. And what you would do after identifying, let's say it's naval and defense. It's our main segment for the next year. You would find 5 to 10 customers from that segment and do customer interviews, because you want to make an ICP, an ideal customer profile. And an ICP, what it means is that your best existing customers, and the profile is kind of like a summary of your best customers. So you're going to write a short profile, which is kind of outside of the scope of this session, but you want to kind of have a high-level overview of what describes these companies. It's the revenue, location, description, pain points, which channels to use, and messaging themes. I'm going to go into this more in depth in another session, but you want to create one ICP per market segment, not one ICP for all your segments. But because again, people or these different segments, they will buy because of different reasons. Maybe they buy different products or services or solutions. So it's important to kind of really get focus on the messaging and the content that will resonate with that specific ICP and that specific market segment. Next is, like I said, interviewing your best customers. You want to talk to real customers and map out the segment, number of employees, like the basic company information. It can also be the goals and the problems they're trying to solve, kind of how your solution differs from the competition. There's a lot of information that your customers, but your existing customers can give you, and based on the summary of all those interviews, so 5 or 10, usually you don't need more than 5 or 10, you will get a really good overview of the information they need, the keywords to search for, which channels they're in, what kind of topics they're interested in when it comes to content. So if you're going to make a webinar or something downloadable, or like an article and so on, you will get a really clear picture after 5 or 10 interviews of how you can communicate and reach your ideal customers in that specific segment. So when you're doing your interviews and you're creating your ICP, you will build out who is the buying committee, so who is the decision maker, so what is the role, what is their LinkedIn profile, what's their job title, what's the KPIs and pain points they're worried about, are they or do they have any objections or blockers, what channels are they using, and then you can start to really get a clear picture of who you need to reach within each company. One thing you can do as well is to say you're going to go and use the different tools I'm going to mention in a minute. If you see that there's a range, so some companies in the market segment are really high revenue, huge companies, and then you have some companies on the lower end which are maybe lower revenue potential, but still good customers to target. Then you can tier these companies into tiers 1, 2, or 3 based on revenue potential and value. So when doing ABM, you will maybe have 5 to 10 tier 1 accounts, which is huge companies. Maybe they have thousands of employees, and here you might need to do like a full customization and personalization, and it's very one-to-one. But that's because the number of companies is low, and the revenue potential is so high, so you can actually afford to invest time to be really personalized in your content, in your outreach with these companies, because if you get a deal with one of these companies, it's probably a multi-million deal. And then tier 2, again, still pretty big companies, but maybe less personalized. So like you do more of a semi-personalization approach. So maybe this is 10 to 50 companies, and then you have tier 3, which is more programmatic. So maybe if you're targeting smaller companies with small fleets, for example, and there are 400 companies in that tier, you might be doing just like LinkedIn ads to those 400 companies because you can't afford to invest that much time into personalizing the outreach and the content for 400 different companies. So based on this process, you would have like a document. You would document your ICP clearly, and you will have a very clear picture of the firmographic, so industry, size, location, kind of the KPIs and why they buy. You have an overview of the pain points and the buying triggers, like why are they going out in the market and trying to find a solution? What problem are they trying to solve? Also, what kind of messaging themes and value proposition they will resonate with, and also disqualification criteria. So are they too small, wrong region, and so on. So you have a really clear picture of who you're trying to reach and how. So when it comes to building your list, there are many tools I prefer to use when building out the list, and this is because the different tools have different strengths that play into each other really, really well. So the first tool I usually use for clients and for ourselves is Ocean. Ocean is really amazing at finding lookalikes. So if you have identified, let's say, 5 or 10 companies in your customer base that are really good examples of customers you want more of, Ocean is really good at you can just input the domains of those 5 to 10 companies, and Ocean will then kind of give you back similar companies. So they will score it from 0 to 100, and it will give you back, let's say there are 100 companies similar to your best customers. It will score from 0 to 100 and then say, okay, these 100 companies are like a 95 score. They're very similar to your best companies, best customers when it comes to size and location and their keywords on the website and so on. So it makes it really easy to find similar companies to your best customers. Then I recommend using Clay. Clay is a really good tool for also building and building your list, but also is really good at enriching your list. When you're doing account-based marketing, there is some data that you absolutely need to be successful, specifically when it comes to advertising. So if you're going to use, let's say, you're going to use the tech stack we recommend, which is HubSpot, and you're going to advertise on LinkedIn, then you would need the company name, you would need the company domain name. So netly.co would be an example of a domain, but you would also preferably have the LinkedIn company page URL. And this can be extremely time consuming to do manually. If you're going to pay a freelancer to do it, they might cost hundreds or thousands of dollars or euros and take many weeks to do it, but Clay can do it in just a few minutes. But besides the basic information like domain, company name, and LinkedIn URL, you can find out almost any information using Clay, as long as it's information that's available online. So Clay can actually go as an agent, AI agent, is a part of the platform is an AI agent. So you can think of Clay as a spreadsheet that has a lot of APIs connected to it and AI features or LLM features. So you can find the basic information like number of employees, revenue, domain name, and so on. But you can also find information. Let me think of a good example. So like, let's say I did a research study using Clay a few months ago, and I wanted to check how many companies had a blog, how many companies in the maritime tech space had a case study page, how many had LinkedIn or Google Ads or Meta advertising pixel installed on the site. So essentially, Clay can actually find almost any information that's available online. You just need to make a column in Clay, and it will kind of go to each website or find mentions of that company, and you can find that information. There's a really flexible tool to find pretty much any information you need and get a really enriched list of companies, and you don't have to do any scraping or manual research. So it's an amazing tool to build your list. Then it comes to Surf. So if you're using HubSpot or Pipedrive or Salesforce and your target market is on LinkedIn, the good thing about Surf is that it will kind of add like a additional section on every person's LinkedIn profile, and it can find that person's email, phone number, mobile phone number, and it's actually integrated with a lot of different data sources. So Hunter or Apollo or different solutions, Zoom Info. So it's going to check all these different databases, and then instead of you going to each and single database to try to find that email or phone number, Surf will just go through all the databases for you and then just display the contact information on that person's LinkedIn profile as like an additional section on the profile. And then you can send this information straight to your CRM, and in that way, prospecting for your sales team is way easier, less time-consuming. So we really recommend using Surf to make that process more efficient. So maybe Clay and Ocean can find the contact information for each buying committee member for you, but I think Surf is like a good additional tool if those other tools are not able to find it. So your salesperson can just go through each LinkedIn profile they're trying to contact. They don't have to do any CSV exports or imports. They will just go to the LinkedIn profile, see if the contact information is on the Surf card, and then send it to HubSpot. Then it's LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is amazing at finding decision makers or people inside a specific company. Most of you have probably used LinkedIn, I'm assuming, but there's one specific feature in LinkedIn Sales Navigator that's really amazing, I think, and that not a lot of people know about, and that's Boolean search. So if you're struggling with finding the individuals you're trying to reach in those target accounts we have identified in previous steps, you can use Boolean search. So Boolean search, which you can see in the picture here, it's kind of creating a search that combines specific titles and also excluding specific titles. So if you can see in the picture here, you have B2B or SaaS and CEO, for example. So one example for maritime tech would be that you're trying to find head of fleet or fleet manager or compliance manager or CTO or technical director, but not intern or assistant. So it can get really narrow and really specific on the types of people you want to reach. So you can add I want people in these companies with these specific titles, but not these specific titles, and you will get an exact list of the contacts you want to reach. And then you can go using Surf, like I previously mentioned, and send that information to your CRM so you can do outreach that way. So, and of course, you can just save that list for later. And then we have Hunter. So Hunter is kind of similar to Surf, but it's more for emails. If you're going to a website and you want to find a specific person's email, Hunter has a Chrome extension where you can click on the Chrome extension icon, and it will give you the emails of all the people working at that company. And again, you can just save it, send it to HubSpot, and then you can do outreach that way. Lastly, Breeze Intelligence in HubSpot. Again, I do recommend HubSpot for maritime tech companies. So when it comes to Breeze, the way it helps you to build lists is through engagement and website visits. So imagine you're doing Google Ads, you're doing blog posts, you're doing case studies, you have webinars, you're generating a lot of traffic, a lot of engagement on your website. So people are going to your pricing page, product page, home page. So a lot of people visiting your website every day. A lot of those people won't convert on a demo or a pricing request or asking for a meeting. I think that the statistics is that roughly 95% to 98% of people will not convert. That's quite consistent with what I'm seeing inside of our clients' dashboards. Is maybe only 1 or 2% of the monthly traffic is converting into an inbound lead. But if you want to reach out to the companies who are showing engagement, showing intent, showing that they're in like a active buying journey where they're doing research about your offerings, Breeze is a solution inside of HubSpot that shows you which companies are visiting your website and also which pages they're visiting. So imagine if you have a sales department and they want leads, but you're not getting enough inbound leads, and marketing is generating a lot of activity, a lot of traffic. Buyer intent is kind of like something in the middle between cold traffic and an inbound lead. There's people who are warm, they have been to your website, they're kind of familiar with what you're doing, but they haven't converted. So using Breeze, you can then identify which companies have visited your website, and in that way, you can maybe do outreach to them and get a meeting quite early. So you don't want to wait until they convert inbound necessarily. You might be proactive and just go straight to the companies who are showing intent, and then maybe get a meeting that way. So that's all the tools I'm recommending for building target account lists for ABM. So you should not jump right into the tools. Start with the market segmentation and creating your ICP first. Get a really clear understanding of who you're trying to reach. But when you have done that, you have a lot of good tools to source and build that list really, really quickly. So I hope that was helpful. I can't see any questions. So thanks for